So, we will continue chapter 7, which we started.
6, right?
6 was over. Okay. 6 was how to discharge devotional service. So, chapter 6 was only an introduction that there are 64 items of Bhakti. So, we were discussing what are those 64 items of sadhana Bhakti, and that is what was chapter 7. So, out of the various items of sadhana Bhakti, if you remember that Rupa Goswami has divided it, the 64 items, into 20 items which are of primary importance, okay, and 44 items which are called as additional items of service, not items of secondary importance. Additional items of service. Out of the 20 items which are important which have primary importance, item number 1 to 10 are called as pravritti, and items 11 to 20 are called as nivritti. Pravritti are items which we have to accept in Krishna consciousness, and nivritti are items which we have to avoid in Krishna consciousness. Okay. So chapter 7 begins with the items of pravritti. Does everyone in Point 2 program know it is here?
Yes.
So chapter 7, the first item is, most important item is what? Shri Guru Pada Ashraya. So in the previous class, we saw why it is necessary to accept the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Not only that, we also saw what is the criteria by which we must come to the stage of accepting a spiritual master, and we also saw what should not be the criteria. So any thoughts from previous class?
So we saw selecting spiritual master, right spiritual master for wrong reasons, based on bodily conception of life.
So one is that spiritual master should not be selected based on bodily concept of life. What is an example of a bodily concept of life?
He is an Indian guru. US guru don't accept.
Just because he's from my land and or from my village, but those should not be the criteria for selecting spiritual master. Incidentally, if it happens, no problem. But that should not be the primary criteria. What is most important?
Inspiration.
The spiritual master should be able to inspire us in our devotional life. And how does the spiritual master inspire us? Through what?
Instructions.
And only instruction? By his personal example. By what he is and what he speaks. Both. Srila Prabhupada, in fact, put a simple test. Ask the spiritual master, who are you? If he says you are spirit soul, no problem. What's first tick? Second example is, who is the Supreme Personality of God? If he says Lord Krishna, second tick. And the third is, what is the process to attain him? And if he says Harinam Sankirtan, devotional service, third tick, you can accept it. And then obviously we will have to see his life, whether he is himself following it or is only saying it. And if we are convinced, then it actually does not matter which spiritual master we accept. In disciplic section, in a bona fide disciplic section, it doesn't matter which spiritual master. But yes, there is because we are we, then we sometimes connect to a particular spiritual master. And that is also arranged by Paramatma in the heart. So we will find that one spiritual master is giving us more inspiration his words and actions are giving us more inspiration than other spiritual masters. Okay. That is simply not because there is any gradation between them, but that is simply because that is how the Lord is, because the relationship is eternal. So that is how the Lord is inspiring us to connect with Guru. And that principle works differently for different people. But in all situations, accepting the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master is mandatory. No one is exempt from that process. Okay. Without Guru, we cannot attain Krishna. That is not possible. So that is the first most important item of Bhakti. Also we saw that what is the criteria for a person? What happens to a person? When does a person come to the stage of accepting a shelter of a spiritual master?
Understand the futility of
Correct. When a person understands the futility of material existence, then a person can come to understanding. A person can come to the understanding that it is essential to approach a bona fide spiritual master. Because when we understand that this material world is Dur-Ashraya means it is a temporary shelter. It cannot give eternal happiness, anything in this material world. When we understand that, the futility of this material world, we may have big house, bungalow, car, everything, but at the end of the day, sometimes all that is not enough. So, material nature deals with us in a different way. So, everyone is frustrated in this material world. So, a devotee understands that this material world, the more and more I try to suck the juice of pleasure from this material world, that day is not going to come. Okay. So then such a person comes to true shelter. True shelter is of the book Bhagavata as well as the person Bhagavat. So the person Bhagavat is the spiritual master. Now in ISKCON, the process, I'm sure most of you know, but many people come and ask me sometimes, even during the Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj's retreat, one boy was asking me, what is the process if I want to take shelter of spiritual master? So what is the process? Everyone is clear on what is the process? What is the process? One has to be chanting 16 rounds and following the 4 regulative principles. Better that one is under some Bhakti Vriksha, some program. Somebody should be able to vouch for your sadhana. That is very, very important. Sometimes devotees do freelancing in the congregation. Okay, and only at the time of whenever shelter comes, then they know the process. Then they will come and tell, Prabhu, aapka program mein aa sakta hu kya main? It's like that. So obviously, still what do? We still okay, chalo aa jao, but 6 months rukna padega. No problem, because obviously they are not having any malified intention. Except that they know that now it is more from a process. But even from that angle, if they come, then they will benefit. Because unless we have someone who is supervising our sadhana, to whom we are accountable, generally, then there is nothing, most people are not self-disciplined. So it is better that we are under somebody's radar all the time. And we have to permit ourselves to be under the radar of somebody else. So once someone goes to a program and someone is affiliated with some senior devotee, then that person, after 6 months, the person can give a recommendation. Rasanandini Mataji usually writes to that person, saying that so-and-so person wants to take shelter. Therefore, are you happy to recommend this person for shelter? And then the Bhakti Vriksha self-servant leader, whoever, he says, okay, no problem. Or, sorry Mataji, I think we should wait for some more time for this person. Usually it's always, of course, over the years I've seen, I think 99% of the cases are yes, because the person gradually grows in the program itself. So, usually it doesn't happen that it is no, except very rare occasions it has happened. Where again the person has come in the last minute and does not also want to wait. Like that. So then we can't do that. Because this is a very responsible duty that Anirudh Prabhu is giving us. So we have to execute it with utmost care. We have to respect whatever guidelines that he has established. Otherwise, there is no question of trust. So he is putting trust in the self-servants. So self-servants have to be very, tomorrow all of you may be self-servants, some of you already are. So it's a very responsible job. So we cannot go by sentiment. Especially the self-servant leaders must not get swayed by the fact that हमको प्रसादम पे बुलाया था last week in लोगों ने. Therefore अभी ना बोलेंगे तो बुरा लग जाएगा. So don't get swayed by such sentiment. That's okay. प्रसादम पे बुलाया ठीक है. But at the end of the day, that is not the criteria for shelter. Criteria for shelter is they must have proven sadhana record for the past 6 months. The moment we say prasadam pe bulaya, then I am putting me in the center. My false ego is acting now. As long as they are okay with me, then I will recommend. So it's not like that. They have to fulfill the temple's criteria. That's very important. And that's why there's a lot of integrity that we have to exercise in recommending someone for shelter. And then when the person, so we go back to the candidate and tell such a candidate that now you must appear for the shelter exam. When the person is appearing for the shelter exam, we tell the person that you don't have to write your spiritual master's name. Because one decides spiritual master, one need to declare one's decision with some spiritual master only after shelter exam is cleared. Okay, after shelter exam is cleared, immediately thereafter then you can say, okay, I was inspired by so and so Maharaj, like that. Or even if someone is not inspired with any spiritual master, that is also fine. You can still take the shelter exam, even if you have not decided, and then start the process of deciding. Absolutely fine. Okay. Then take time, then zero in on a spiritual master, and then what happens is you write to that spiritual master, saying that I would like to surrender to you. Then the spiritual master or his representative, depending upon how that spiritual master operates, will send back an email saying that shelter granted. And that evidence then we give it to temple authorities, Rasamani Mataji, who will then put it in the record. From the day that shelter is granted, minimum 6 months have to elapse. Right? It should not happen that after shelter is granted, then sadhana firse again you are going back to 2 rounds and 1 round. No, whatever. Anything below 16 or not following the 4 regulative principles. So that is the second probation period which is there, and we are being tested. And then once that 6 months is over, then the person starts is eligible to sit for the initiation exam. And then the initiation exam is cleared, and then whenever again there is a recommendation, will come again through the Bhaktivedanta self-servant. And then when that initiation exam is cleared, in fact initiation exam nowadays have an interview also, no? With the Asanani Mataji.
Disciple course as well.
Pardon?
Disciple
Correct.
course.
Now we also have that ISKCON disciples course. One must attend. That is very important because of so many problems that have happened in the past. ISKCON disciples course one must attend. Even if you are initiated, all the more reason you must attend, so that we behave ourselves. Okay, it's a program which will set the right behaviors for all of us.
But that course, does it need to be taken before writing shelter exam or after writing shelter exam?
Good question. I don't know the answer. Nirut Prabhu has not given any specific guidelines.
Before initiation. After shelter.
No, before initiation is fine. But what I think your question is, can we take it before shelter? I don't know. I never asked that kind of a question.
After shelter.
Only after shelter. Okay.
I think the reason
You can do it at any stage, but because of the volume of candidates who want to take initiation, they have kept it like before initiation and after shelter.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Anyone can do
One of the point covered in disciple course also how to select a spiritual master. So only in our congregation, as Prabhu said, put the candidates who are already taken the right in the shelter exam who are about to get initiation. Otherwise, it is for anyone who is in this form.
He said.
No. The content
Yeah,
says
content
how to
is
select a spiritual master.
because usually it makes sense also that one take shelter, because otherwise they cannot relate. It's an advanced course. See, ISKCON disciples course is an advanced course. It's not for beginners. They should have accepted first of all Prabhupada. Only then it makes sense to then let them know that Prabhupada is Founder-Acharya and all that. If they are not accepted Prabhupada as a shelter, then it doesn't make sense. So in that sense, yeah. Okay. Anyway, so that is step number, rule number 1. Sorry, item number 1. The second item is accepting initiation from the spiritual master and receiving instructions from him. Sri Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam. So in the next few classes we will go through each and every component of the 64 items. We will just, some of the points we will just skim through, because that you can read on your own, but the most important ones, wherever required, we will focus on those.
Shri Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam.
Dikshadi Shikshanam. So accepting initiation from the spiritual master and receiving instructions from him. Now see the beauty here. There are two things which is given. Accepting instructions from the accepting initiation from the spiritual master and then receiving instructions from him. So I will read what Dhanodhar Maharaj has written here, which includes what Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada have said. Srila Rupa Goswami again quotes Prabuddha. My dear king, a disciple has to accept the spiritual master not only as spiritual master but also as the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Super Soul. In other words, after rejecting material life and taking shelter of a spiritual master, one must accept him with full faith. Diksha is the spiritual master's formal acceptance of the disciple's commitment and faith. So Diksha is only a formal acceptance. The love part is already there. But Diksha is a formal acceptance. It's a ceremony where there is a formal acceptance. Without this commitment, a disciple cannot possess the unyielding faith required to properly assimilate his Guru's spiritual instructions. Srila Prabhupada explains, one should learn Srimad Bhagavatam seriously and with all respect and veneration for the spiritual master. So, there are two items which are mentioned here. One is accepting initiation from the spiritual master, and the second one is receiving instructions from the spiritual master. Most of the chaos many times happens in the congregation because devotees accept initiation from spiritual master but do not take any instructions thereof. Which means we are just saying, Prabhu, I got initiated. Haribo! No, that's all happens. Okay. After that, no hearing spiritual master's lectures. Okay. No instruction. Just no dhoti color changes sometimes. From white to some other special color. Some chadar may come on our neck. Like this, style. Okay. So all that externals can happen. After initiation. But actually, after initiation means that more and more Shravanadi Chitta Shuddha Karilo Uday. More and more the instructions have to go into the holes of the ears. Instructions have to go into the holes of the ears and enter the heart. So that pravartan has to happen. We have to again and again understand that initiation is not certification. Initiation is initiation. Initiation means what?
Begin with
Yeah.
start.
Start. That's all. Initiation means start. It doesn't mean आपका initiation हो गया, अरे first class. Not like that. Means no. It's like saying आपका PMP certification हो गया, अरे very good. Like that. Or your ISO 9000 certified now. Which means it is a culmination of some compliance. Does it make sense? This is not like that. Initiation means from अभी से शुरू होने वाला. Only thing you have now taken a vow that you will follow the process. Certification means that you are already certified. So we have to really understand, we have to sink this inside our system. That it is only initiation. I have given this example before also. When I got Brahmin initiated, somebody came and said, Hari wo, Prabhu, abhi aap Brahmana ho gaye. Hari bol, Prabhu, yaar, Prabhu, abhi aap, your Brahman realized. Brahma janati iti Brahmana and all. Somebody was telling me this. I told him, hey, bhai, I have just started the process of understanding Brahman, whatever it. We don't try to understand Brahman in one sense. To be on a very serious note, after Brahman initiation, are we trying to understand Brahman? Nobody will say like that. Okay. Brahman initiation means very simple. Now I have made a commitment. Okay, we will do Patan, Pathan, Yajan, Yajan. We will do deity worship. I will do preaching. Okay. Just like in a company, what happens nowadays? Promotions are not given. It is not that you are made head, and after that you have to start being a head. Does it work like that in corporate life? No. If you are already playing the role of head for some time, then they will give you that role. Does it make sense? It is demonstrated capability in the role. And then you are awarded, yes, okay, you can fit into that role like that. Does it make sense? Similarly, here also, if devotees are seen after their first initiation, if devotees are seen taking a lot of interest in Shastras, doing preaching, actively involved in these activities, okay, then the temple president has, or the senior authorities will have confidence that yes, he is trying to follow a Brahminical life. Because Brahminical life is teaching and education at that time. What does a Brahmana do? What is the main job of a Brahmana? Teaching and education and yajan, patan, right? They're showing an affinity for doing arti, which will be reflected in the way we do it at home. Okay, are we at least doing something every day at home? Like that. And certain general observances, like are we trying to eat somewhere with the, all over our body, and we are doing, like a Shudra kind of behavior that we have. Are we, you understand what I mean, no? There is hamara jo chal chalan, how do I say chal chalan? Behavior, not behavior only, our demeanor. Our demeanor speaks, like that. So the authorities will get some kind of a confidence, okay, this person can be recommended for the organization. Also, following the 4 regulative principles. So that seriousness will also be observed. Even at the time of interview, the seriousness will be observed of following all these things. Okay. So, person then gets a Brahman initiation. Doesn't mean that the person is now perfect Brahmana. It again means only now there has to be another struggle to be a perfect Brahmana. Correct? That struggle will start. So the struggle is starting. The initiation means struggle has started. For that particular, whatever you have taken oath, your struggle starts. And in Brahman initiation, again the struggle starts. So, they have auctions in the evening also or what? I thought auctions get over at 11 o'clock. So, it is important to receive instructions from spiritual master. Constantly we have to receive instructions from spiritual master. The third item is serving the spiritual master with faith and confidence. And they are all in one sense interrelated. So we'll just go through them and
If you are saying constantly receive instructions, you are not able to assimilate even a single or 2 instructions which will prolong a lifetime to execute and to perfect recovery. So in what sense are we saying receive continuous instructions and have it in our life? Or
see, continuous means here lectures continue regularly. That's what I meant. I'm not saying receive new instructions. So receive continuous instruction. How many times do we need to be reminded that we are not the body, we are the soul? Constantly. We forget after some time that we are not the body. Correct? Simple example. The best example and the simplest example that we think we are the body is we are very happy when India wins the World Cup. We are very sad when India loses the World Cup. That's a simple example that we are still in the bodily concept of life. Simple test. You don't have to do complicated tests for that. मजा आता है सुन के ना इंडिया वर्ल्ड कप जीता. If the answer is yes, that means we are in the bodily concept of life. That means we are affected by some identity to our birthplace in some way. We are strongly identifying with that, and therefore we are very happy. Correct? So therefore, after that loss of the World Cup in the semi-final, don't ask me more questions now. Then when next day when Ramai Swami or somebody, Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj, after that comes and reminds us that we are the spirit soul, then again we need this. We heard 10 years back also, 15 years back we heard this, but we have to be constantly reminded. So every time that instruction needs to be constantly, we need to remind ourselves, and at so many stages of our life we need to be reminded of that. If you are not married, if you are going to enter marriage, Grihastha ashram, again we need to be reminded that we are not the body, we are the soul. Again, otherwise we will get very fussy about caste and this and that, and we will forget the basics. We will not forget on the qualities of the person. We will just focus on the birthplace of the person. So simple instructions also we need to, and also when we see death, somewhere when we see death, that is another good time to remember that we are not the, seeing death is very bewildering experience. But after that bewilderment, someone tells, hey, no, sirf, body, soul cannot be killed. Okay, the soul hai abhi kidhar to. Because in that intensity, then we forget. We are completely, like that it happens. Correct? So Pir said that instruction, then, soul will continue to exist. Soul can never be killed, burned, whatever. It just exists in another form. So this is receiving instructions from spiritual master. Then the next is serving the spiritual master with faith and confidence, which is called as Vishrambhena Guru Seva. Okay, again, just a gentle reminder that children have to be kept silent, otherwise I cannot concentrate, people cannot concentrate. So the children needs to be quieted, then try your best here. If required, take them out for 5 minutes and then again bring them back when they are silent. Okay. Concerning the second item, Prabhupada instructed hearing and speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. Please hear carefully. Hearing. Where is this point coming under? Which point are we discussing now? The third item. Serving the spiritual master with what?
Faith and
confidence. Very good. Okay. Now everyone is listening. So here it is mentioned, hearing and speaking Srimad Bhagavatam is the religious process which elevates one to the platform of serving and loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hearing and speaking Srimad Bhagavatam is the religious process which elevates one to the platform of serving and loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Execution of this item elevates us to the third item. Hearing and speaking Srimad Bhagavatam is the religious process which elevates one to the platform of serving and loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Execution of this item elevates us to the third item. Any idea what is the third item?
Serving the Guru with faith and confidence.
Fantastic. So when can we serve the spiritual master with faith and confidence? Only when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Remember that. It elevates us to the platform of offering him faithful, loving service.
So what does speaking Srimad Bhagavatam mean, Prabhuji? In us, in which context?
Pumsam Swakamaya Viviktamaya.
Tell in English.
I don't understand Sanskrit.
Rama Prabhu has told.
And Pravachana, Srimad Bhagavatam. Discourse.
So that is speaking or giving this class of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is discussing Srimad Bhagavatam amongst devotees.
Living Srimad Bhagavatam and teaching Srimad Bhagavatam, both. Okay. So I was talking in Milpark program also today, the same point. Many times what happens is, if you see, and most of you will agree with this point. Again, I'm going to go back to the same thing. I've told it many times. I'm going to say it one more time. Most of the relationship between devotees gets disturbed when spiritual master visits Melbourne. Barabar hai na? When spiritual master visits Melbourne, all relationships go outside the window. Actually, it should be quite the other way. Spiritual master aaya, let us all unite and lovingly serve him. Rather than that, what happens? What happens? Why fights happen? It starts with roster. मुझे टर्न मिला है नहीं खाना बनाने को. Who will drive the spiritual master? Who will receive him at the airport? Who will put garland on his neck? Correct? Whose eye spiritual master is going on more than me? Whose child spiritual master has touched his head or her head? And why my child was not touched on the head? No. they are promoting their child. This is exactly how it happens. Trust me, it is not an exaggeration. ऐसा ही होता है. Okay. Whose house spiritual master will visits, and whose house spiritual master did not visit because he chose to have prasadam at the temple itself. Correct. So all this creates vanda within the devotees. Correct. And devotees stop speaking to one another. It comes to that point that they stop speaking. In fact, sometimes it happens that before Krishna consciousness they were the thick of friends. Bhakti होने के बाद दोस्ती भी चला गया. Actually it happens like that. Huh? Before Krishna consciousness they were good friends. But after coming in Krishna consciousness the friendship is lost. So what is this? Is this aligned or somewhere there is a complete disconnect here? What do you think? It's a complete disconnect, obviously. There's a complete disconnect. So we have to re-emphasize this point. That serving spiritual master is not simply who will call spiritual master के लिए क्या खाना बनाया, माता जी आपने पूड़ा बनाया या इडली बनाया. Serving spiritual, that is okay. That is you are calling spiritual master out of love to your house and you are feeding the spiritual master, which is fine. When you do that, the spiritual master is definitely happy and he feels, in fact, the spiritual master, because they are humble by nature, then they feel very grateful to you. Okay? But are they pleased simply by that? The whole idea is to go out and preach the message. Okay? Go out and preach and then struggle and then bring them face to face with Maharaj after that. And then Maharaj himself will acknowledge, any spiritual master will acknowledge, I am very pleased with you that you are trying to struggle to spread Prabhupada's mission. So that is very important, and all this we will understand only when we study Srimad Bhagavatam, only when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay? So by being examples in our personal life, that is the best way then we can serve the spiritual master. By being examples in our personal life. And that is where, that is a struggle. I understand it's not easy to be an example. Okay? Sometimes we can be the wrong example also. So people will learn how not to be a devotee from seeing our demonic behavior. Okay? But we have to set that's a struggle we have to do. And that is where that initiation is important. Because initiation means abhi se wo jang shuru hota hai. You know what I mean? The fight now starts, me and my mind. That war has begun. That is what is initiation. To reach to that stage. Is it clear? So serving the spiritual master means serving the mission of the spiritual master. Understanding the mood of the spiritual master and absorbing that mood in our dealings, in our spiritual practices. Any questions?
So what if we're not able to follow the instruction but we're struggling to follow the instruction?
If we are struggling to follow the instructions, then we have a good chance to go back to Godhead. The problem is when we are not struggling to follow the instructions. When we are not struggling to follow the instructions, there are two possibilities. Either we are following the instructions or we are not struggling to follow the instructions. Which means we are not endeavoring even. अरे ठीक है महाराज तो बोलेंगे ऐसे. त्रिनादापि सुनी चाहिए. ठीक है बहुत बार सुना है अभी. कुछ नया बोलो. Correct, no? That means we are not even struggling to follow the instructions. It is very simple. In every dealing, we have to assess. No? In this dealing, have I followed Trinadapi Sunichana, Taroriva Sahishnuna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadayari? In every dealing, if we ask that question to us, we will know whether where we are. Correct? The very fact that we are asking that question is we are struggling. If we have forgotten, we are shameless. Does it make sense? We have forgotten the instruction itself. अच्छा हाँ महाराज ने बोला था क्या ऐसा? No, it's like saying, अच्छा intoxication should be avoided. Okay. That means you have never struggled. No? Better off you are struggling in your life rather than not struggling at all.
And so the other thing is, after going through so many years of Bhakti, Viksha, Bhakti Shastra, and all the courses, why do these things happen amongst devotees when Maharaj comes in, like misunderstanding or even ego?
Yeah, today I was discussing 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in Mill Park program because someone had altar inauguration. So we were discussing Ambarish Maharaj's pastime I was reading because that is what we are studying right now under Keshav Prabhu. There it is mentioned that it happens, this tendency comes because of envy. Nothing else, कुछ नहीं है. अरे तुम और मैं साथ में कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस लिया, दोनों शेल्टर साथ में लिया, महाराज तुम्हारे घर में आया, मेरे घर में नहीं आया. That is what it happens. You know, envy usually happens with our peers only. It doesn't happen with seniors. We will not be envious of Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj. I am envious of Bhakti. No, it does. उधर तो Haribol. Envy will happen only with Changu and Mangu. Changu Mangu के बीच में होता है झगड़ा always. Correct. Envy उसी level में होता है. You know, आपके घर में आया, अच्छा आपके घर पे आया. Externally we will be very happy. I am very happy for you, but internally, no, like that. So, and we will know this inside our heart. Nobody needs to. We can put facade in front of everyone. Inside our heart, we know दर्द हुआ क्या. महाराज उनके घर पे गया, दर्द हुआ दिल में. नहीं. No, externally we may say. Envy नहीं करना चाहिए. हुआ क्या दर्द? हुआ ना लेकिन अंदर थोड़ा हुआ ना. महाराज उनके घर पे गया, अपना घर पे नहीं आया. If that happens, then that is, at least we are not shameless. We are then thinking, हाँ ठीक है, okay, that means we will accept that I have envy in my heart. Acceptance is the first step towards improvement. If we are denying, it's like, you know, a diabetes patient will always say, I am healthy, no problem, like that. You know? How old people are, no, sometimes. If you tell them, take, I am fit, retired, I am nice. There's been denial of the problem. Denial of the problem or shamelessness. हाँ अभी है ठीक है क्या करेगा. No, that is shamelessness. Correct. So their denial also is problem and shamelessness also problem. But struggle is perfectly acceptable. So when we are thinking like that, yeah, actually, you know, I may put any face in front of devotees, but अंदर मुझे पता है मैं क्या हूँ. And then we are praying sincerely to the Lord, saying that, look, Lord, I am ashamed of myself. Actually, you know, ये कहाँ से आया ये thought मेरे मन में. You know, so we have to analyze our thoughts. And when we are analyzing our thoughts now, we will also remain humble then. Because most of the time we are meditating on our own anarthas. That will keep us humble and respectful to other devotees. There are two situations with peers that we may have. We have good relationship with the peer. Okay? And within that the envy is coming. Or we simply, for some reason, the natures of two different individuals are such that मजा ही नहीं आएगा एक दूसरे के साथ. ऐसा होता है ना, करेक्ट ना. किसी डिवोटी से मजा ही नहीं आता है. Is it correct? Everyone agrees to this. Any Paramahamsas here who are Pandita Samadarshana? I don't believe so. Correct? There are devotees whose face we don't want to see. And there are devotees who don't want to see our face. वो भी ये जगन्नाथ रामा. ऐसा हो सकता है. ऐसा absolutely possible है. Because neither we are, some, all attractive personality, nor we are all compassionate and, Pandit Samadarshina. So it is, so ऐसा होता है. So with some people, their natures will not match at all. So I have taken consultation from senior devotees in this matter also. प्रभु जी वो बराबर है सर्व करने का, लेकिन जमी नहीं रहा. मतलब any interaction is now putting me away only. Okay, because that personality is, he thinks north है तो मेरा south है, मैं क्या करूँ, अभी है ऐसा. So then I was told that this is because two different conditions, natures are there here. Okay, then it is better that you all don't have common services is the practical way. This was an advice I was given.
Better to stay.
ऋणाद आप सुनिए ना, बहुत बड़ा इंस्ट्रक्शन है. नहीं कर सकते हो ना, एटलीस्ट एक दूसरे का, what is that, don't step on each other's toes. For example, if person A is your peer, and if a person A is doing some seva, don't get into the same seva. Or get into the same, if it's a preaching seva, for example, if he is doing zone 1, you doing zone 2. तुम zone 1 में नया मत करो, फिर प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है. Does it make sense? So don't do those services. In fact, even when many times devotees who want to do preaching, they say that Nare Prabhu मेरे से अकेला में नहीं होगा, partner कर किसी के साथ. So even when we partner, the same thing, at least when they come to me, I am always sharing the same thing which I heard, is that partner with people जिसके साथ मजा आए. Don't partner with people जिसके साथ all the time you will be resolving your own झंझट. There is a question of you inspiring other devotees. वो लोग बोलेगा ये लोग ही झगड़ते रहते हैं आधा time. What they can guide me. Correct, no? So better minimize that opportunity. जिसके साथ जल हो, मजा आए. For example, two strong-headed individuals should not come together for preaching. Does it make sense? एक strong-headed है ना, it's better to have someone who will always be subordinate to that person. Then only it will work like nice. It is simply like husband and wife relationship. दोनों strong-headed है, आजा मैं भी जाती हूँ. She will also go that side. तू क्या मैं भी जाता हूँ. ऐसा नहीं work होगा. When husband is angry, then husband is hot tempered, and it's better that wife is थोड़ा ठंडा करेगी. And if wife is hot tempered for short tempered, then it's better that husband अच्छा ठीक है sorry बस मैंने गलती किया. Then the marriage will work. So similarly, this is also marriage. When two people come together, for preaching, partnering, then it's important that they gel well. It's very simple. And when that doesn't happen, then you can't team up like that. So where and this not gelling well is all about envy only. It is not something else. It is envy. We all have envy within our hearts. Okay. That day also someone came and told me, प्रभु जी मैं तो एकदम सिंपल आदमी हूँ प्रभु आप तो जानते हो. मैं बोला मैं क्यों बोला आप सिंपल आदमी हो. मैंने क्या बोला तो सिंपल आदमी है. मैं बोला ये दुनिया में जो सिंपल होगा वो वैकुंठा में रहेगा. यहाँ क्यों रहेगा हम लोग सिंपल आदमी है तो. But he was giving certification to himself. No, आप तो जानते हो मैं तो इतना सिंपल आदमी हूँ. I never told that he was a simple man. And I told him exactly the opposite. And he was actually he was very happy. आपने मेरा आँख खोल दिया इससे. मुझे लग रहा था मैं सिंपल आदमी है. मैं बोला ये दुनिया में कोई भी सिंपल आदमी नहीं है. सिंपल रहेगा तो we will go back to Godhead. We are all complicated in our own sense. Correct? None of us are simple. So therefore, when we are not simple, then we have to adopt practical measure. A Samadarshi doesn't have to adopt practical measures. किसके साथ जमेगा, किसके साथ नहीं जमेगा. Because a Pandit Samadarshina Mahatma will always feel that I am lower. Because we can't come to that platform of feeling that we are lower to somebody else. That is why we are struggling. अपने को नहीं होता है ऐसा. We can't. That is why then all these practical adjustments are required. Till after many years of sadhana, then we may come to that platform with the Acharya's blessings. Then we don't need techniques and tools because our nature itself will become humble. जब तक वो नहीं होता है, because we have to continue service. See, without services we can't become humble. Correct? And to do services, we need cooperation. We need to be a little bit happy in our services. So then these practical measures are to be adopted. Does it make sense?
So yesterday, sorry.
Again, it all depends, on the senior devotee. Because the senior devotee, he should be able to see all these sort of things. He should be able to manage those services the way which you are saying. Otherwise, it defeats the whole bhakti process. I can't see any bhakti in there then. It just becomes a fighting process. I can't see any bhakti. So, basically, senior...
Some noise here, somebody speaking. Please manage. Yeah.
The senior devotees, they got much more responsibility because, they are already they want to elevate. If you're junior or even if you're peer, then you got the responsibility to see, okay, he is good at this thing. So I'm going to allocate this service autonomously to you so you don't cross the paths with each other. I'm going to allocate this service so that they don't cross the path, but they will do autonomously, that thing. But it really depends on, that senior devotee is handling everything. So even as a peer, I would say the sadachar needs to be always there. Because if he got what I missed, over the years, even in ISKCON, then I learned, okay, it doesn't really matter. Was the sadachar, suddenly, someone is now acting very transcendentalist. Suddenly there's a big change now, he does not want to say even hello to you. Right? So, to me, that's not an evolution. You haven't really evolved in the bhakti process. The sadachar should increase, not decrease. Preaching should be on that platform. I had so many instances, if I want to share, a lot of people got switched off, like the older generation. So the sadachar is also meaning how to involve those with due respect. Right? They have gone through a lifetime of experiences. So in the preaching, I was, had instances there, where I said, come on.
So what is the exact point that you're trying to make? Sorry, I'm not able to follow you.
I'm
What is
just
the point?
saying, Prabhu, envy is there, but the senior devotees have got heaps more responsibility.
Okay. So what you're saying is the senior devotees also are responsible to identify and guide the junior devotees with their personal example and with astute management of correct allocation of services based on the strength areas of different people, based on the natures of different people. Okay, that's a good point.
Correct. But within the PS, when the envy is there, that's where the senior devotee is actually coming in, and you can actually see, in the congregation, that's what is happening. That's how we'll allocate. But someone is not segregated, because what happens, and I've seen it practically as well in a lot of examples. You will just segregate. This is another way. I don't believe okay, I don't get along with this person. Right, so we leave the sadachar. Sadachar needs to be still there.
Correct. Yeah. So even if we don't get along with somebody, it doesn't mean that we start blaspheming that person or dealing
Correct.
with. That's true. Good point, Prabhu.
Yeah. So you still have to be as you will do in an office environment. You will still go and say hello, how are you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I can't say okay, I'm not going to do anything with this devotee and that's it.
Correct.
That's the wrong attitude, because you're not actually evolving in the bhakti at all.
Yeah.
You're just putting walls here and there, and you're thinking I'm serving my spiritual master. You're actually doing the opposite. You're not even evolving yourself, let alone anything else.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. Thank you for that. Prabhu, you had a question.
About this envy, Devamrit Maharaj once mentioned that the reason why we have envy is because there are some good qualities in the other person, which instead of appreciating, we are having negative thoughts. So there are some good qualities which I don't have, the other person has, and they are negative about those. So instead of having negative thoughts, have positive thoughts, so that we can actually change that envy to. So the way you mentioned, serve them, that is practical.
True. The more we meditate on others' negativity, that is easy. It is easy to see imperfections in everybody around us, but the most difficult is to see imperfections within ourselves. That is the most difficult task. It is easy to see imperfections around us. It is most difficult to see imperfections within us. So at any point in time, whatever we are thinking, we should check ourselves, saying that, am I spending more time seeing imperfections outside of myself, or am I spending more time investing more time seeing my own imperfections? Which do you think will help us progress faster towards Krishna?
Within us,
Hands up if you think that it is within us. Right? So that is what will actually enable us to progress at the end of it. Okay. So if we want somebody to be like something, then at least we should be that what we are expecting somebody else to be. Does it make sense or not?
Yes. You have said this before as well.
Yes. So that is a simple thing.
Can you repeat that again?
Pardon?
Can you repeat the last?
Nothing, there was no golden statement or anything. It is a normal statement only. If we want somebody else to be like that, Prabhu, आप मंगल आरती में क्यों नहीं आते हो यार? ये क्या है ये वो initiated होके भी मंगल आरती में नहीं? Suppose I am thinking like that, then what I should be doing first? I should be coming for मंगल आरती first. Correct? But if after I come for मंगल आरती, still I should not think that why he is not coming for मंगल आरती. That is a different thing. Then there is a pride also which is coming. Does it make sense? That is a different story. But at least to begin with, I should see that how I can do something. because I am expecting. यहाँ पे suppose I am giving some recommendations, then I should be practicing the principles behind those recommendations myself. Then only my recommendations will have credibility. Does it make sense? So that is very important. So everything starts with, when it comes to corrections, everything starts with me. As long as we think like that, we will progress. And if we always see corrections outside of ourselves, then we will have a relationship problem. Does it make sense? Then we will not be happy in Krishna consciousness. It is important, no? We have to be happy in Krishna consciousness. Maza aana chahiye na, bhakti mein. If we are not happy in Krishna consciousness, how we will progress? So we will be happy in Krishna consciousness only if we are strict with ourselves and lenient with others. We will be happy in Krishna consciousness only when we are strict with ourselves in any principle, be it humility, punctuality, perseverance, dedication, everything. We will be happy only if we are strict with ourselves, at the same time lenient with others. So if he is not able to come for Mangalarti, I am able to come for Mangalarti, I should be lenient, always thinking that my dear fellow, I really, he's had so long hours at work. That should be the kind of thinking that I should be doing. And you can pray. I am really praying that Krishna arranges something that you also come with me for Mangalarti. Does it make sense? But for that I have to come first. Otherwise there is no point in praying for that person. So first pray for thyself. Right? That I am able to wake up in the morning. Right? And then when we are able to come, then we pray that, and we facilitate and help others to also come to our standard. In fact, I have also heard from one spiritual master who has instructed that I am very happy if you are able to, if you have a particular strength and if you are good at something, that you develop others in such a way that they become better than you in what you are doing. Then I am very pleased with you. Does that make sense? So if I am the best book distributor in Melbourne, for example, then I teach people how to do book distribution in such a way that they are able to perform even better than what I can do. Then I get maximum mercy by that. Not that I am trying to protect my, some tricks up my sleeve so that at the end of the day, then, I get that big Mahabook book, as a gift during the, book distribution ceremony. At the same time, jo bhi hua boss, mera niche hi rahega. You might have come from 0 to 100, but I will remain 102. Tum 100 hi rahega, utna yaad rakho. Not like that. If I am 102, then you will become 105. So I will train you in such a way that you are able to do. So then, this particular saintly person, he has given this kind of an instruction. Enable others to do whatever your strength is better than what you can do. By that what will happen? We will remain humble and we would have served also. And then by humility only Krishna will be attracted. He will not be attracted with excellence of services. He will be attracted only with the mood in which we do the service. Because he is bhavagrahi. He is not result-grahi. Does it make sense? Following in the footsteps of saintly persons. That is the next one. Okay? So we saw first point, accepting shelter. We saw initiation. We saw serving the spiritual master. And the fourth one is following in the footsteps of saintly person. Sadhu Vartamanu Varitanam. Sorry, my pronunciation is bad. I think it is bad. Sadhu Vartamanu Vartanam. Sadhu Vartamanu Vartanam. We must follow not only our own spiritual master. Now this is a very important point. I have put it highlighted in green. We must follow not only our spiritual master, but all bona fide sadhus and acharyas in the line of disciplic succession. Okay. Follow also means serve. It's not that I form coteries in the congregation. मैं और मेरा गुरु. That's it. और मेरे God brothers and God sisters. चलो एक group बनाते हैं. It is not like that. In fact, when Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj was addressing 2-3 days back, many disciples are aspiring from him. Okay, he has made this point very clear, and I have spoken to many of the aspiring disciples. Many of them I spoke to over the last 2-3 days. So he has given this example that don't try to make any groups. I don't want that. You must be seen serving the local temple. Very clearly the point has been made. And that is not only Maharaj, every Maharaj will make that point in ISKCON. Every single Maharaj will make this point. They will always encourage us to serve the local temple. So we have to be very careful not to make any groups and operate only within that group. Right? Our Lakshmi primarily should go to the local temple. Okay? Or even if, sometimes even if some Maharaj is, your spiritual master is doing some project, then that should not go out of your allocation for the local temple. You have to always be very careful. Nor should we be seen going to the congregation for our spiritual master's projects. Going around to everyone and saying, my Guru Maharaj is doing this, can you please, etc., etc. Even if there is something like that we want to do, it should be informed to the local authorities. For example, if your spiritual master has published a book, okay, and you want to, you have been like, they have told us, can you please help distribute this book in Melbourne? Who is the first person we must go to? Anirudh Prabhu. We must go to him, inform him, saying that, Prabhuji, this is what, are you happy, or please advise whether you are okay with this. And if the local authorities are, generally it will not happen because our authorities are very broad-minded. And that is the reason why our congregation is so good today. But still, as a matter of and if they have discomfort, then don't do it. It's very simple. That is how we will actually be serving our spiritual master more. Right? We should not become an embarrassment to our spiritual master in front of the local authorities at any point in time by our activities. Okay? So we must follow not only our spiritual master but all bona fide sadhus and acharyas in the line of disciplic succession. There should be no dissension between the Guru's teachings and the teachings of the Guru Parampara, since the qualification of the bona fide Guru is that he presents the scriptures strictly according to Guru Parampara. If he does not, it is not considered devotional service to adhere to his teachings. So if our Gurus, if the spiritual master is telling something which is completely diametrically opposite to what Prabhupada is preaching, then we must understand that there is something wrong here. It will usually not happen. But still, at certain times it used to happen. Even within ISKCON, in the early days, it used to happen that some people started forming their own groups and challenging Prabhupada himself. You might have seen, read Leelamritam, many Abhayacharan also you might be seeing that some people, I don't know whether they have shown it or not, but somewhere I have read all this. That how people formed their own coteries and then tried to marginalize Prabhupada's position in ISKCON. Where Prabhupada's pictures were hung upside down, Prabhupada was not given letters, so many things they did like that. In fact, to some of them, Prabhupada gave them a very sweet punishment. Prabhupada gave them sannyas. Kaam pe lagaya. Like that, He gave them sannyas. In fact, Prabhupada was so humble in that sense that people who criticized him, he gave them more responsibility. By that he gave them mercy. And people who glorified in the wrong way, he asked them to go out of ISKCON. For example, someone said Prabhupada is God. Prabhupada said throw him out from ISKCON. He will not be in ISKCON. Right? On the contrary, if you see outside, moment someone says, Guruji, बताएं आप भगवान हो क्या? They will do like that. अभी हाँ भी नहीं बोला, ना भी नहीं बोला, suspense में रखा है. पुलिस पूछेगा तो जैसे मैं तो बोला ही नहीं. But disciples जिसको चाहिए वो मानो भगवान हूँ मैं. Like that they will it's called a sumudi में pomudi. So like that they will do. Right? They will not even tell yes. They will not even say no. In fact, in Gaurang Prabhu, one of the lectures he was saying, somebody asked some question to this guru in the pandal and he could not answer. And so he started saying, words are words. Something like that. ऐसा कुछ तो बोला. And everyone was clapping. अब इसमें क्या है? Words are words में क्या है? Words are words. And then people think, no, because they cannot understand, that means इसने कुछ ऐसा बोल दिया. He is very, महान हो आप जो बोलते हो मेरे समझ में ही नहीं आता है, मतलब आप महान हो. People have that kind of feeling. Because this is the ignorant society, foolish society we are in. So therefore, if you see, Prabhupada has established such high standards in ISKCON that usually you will find there may be anarthas, but there is no pretension in ISKCON. You will see very less pretension. People are down to earth. At least the spiritual masters, we have all been observing since we are in ISKCON. There is no pretension in any spiritual master. So there is a strict check also, that is there. And there is seriousness in the movement. People are taking it seriously. Because if our acharyas have not taken it seriously, we will not be sitting in this room. First of all, we would have lost faith by now, correct?
Just on the point of that Buddhism, in certain temples I have seen, because there's a lot of, there is not very good relationships within the congregation, when the devotees are being cultivated by, say, Bhaktivedanta leader, he refrains his members from having relationships with outside the group.
That is demonic. That is demonic. Yeah, that is demonic. If we try to restrict our people from mixing with other devotees, that is demonic, and it will never work in the long run, because your own members will lose faith in you. Okay? Your own Bhaktivedanta members will lose respect for you if you do that. That should never be done. So even when you are doing Bhaktivedanta programs, you must always, in fact at some point in time, you must keep hammering that no longer your identity must be from Bhaktivedanta. All that is in the initial stages of Krishna consciousness. Okay, next principle. Inquiring about eternal religious principles. The 64 items of sadhana bhakti offer many practical ways to increase our devotional service. One way is to simply make note of the questions that arise during our study and contemplation of Shastra, and to put these questions before a senior Vaishnava. This in itself is devotional service. So what is the point here? Even inquiring about how to do a practical application of a principle in bhakti itself constitutes devotional service. It is also mentioned in Nectar of Instruction. Dadati pratigranati guhyam akhyati pritchati, means confidentially revealing one's doubts and accepting, seeking, having the conversations with senior devotees like that. That itself is an element of bhakti. It's not only an element of bhakti, it's one of the priti lakshanam, one of the exchanges, loving exchanges between devotees. That we are revealing our mind, we are asking our questions and seeking answers. And that must be done. Why it must be done? Haribol. Sorry, I know it's a bit time. Thoda. Just 10 minutes more. But actually you all are doing a good job. Let me congratulate you. Acha tha. I was expecting it to be completely chaotic. You all have done a good job. So, inquiring about eternal religious principles, this inquiring is very important. There is a philosophy and there is a practice. There is a philosophy and there is an implementation of the philosophy. Both are different. Does it make sense? Both we have to have guidance for implementing a particular philosophy. Does it make sense? Yes. Otherwise, it can, the parinam can be in a different way.
Yeah.
For example, if it is, again I have told it in the previous class, okay? I'm not going to go deep into that point, so don't ask me more questions on that. Suppose we say, in Grihastha ashram also husband and wife must come together only for the purpose of procreating Krishna conscious children. Now this is something which is, Prabhupada hammers it all along in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now when we are preaching this, we have to always tell it to devotees with a
disclaimer.
Not disclaimer, with a recommendation that yes, this is what Prabhupada has said, but please, for heaven's sake, if you are struggling with this, consult. Don't do it fanatically, because we have seen marriages that are breaking because of fanatic approach of the husband or the wife in this matter. Does it make sense? Marriages can fail because we are conditioned human beings. We are not Paramahamsas right now. So if we implement a rule fanatically, अरे बोल दिया अभी class में, अभी कल से नहीं, and then it can really break a marriage. completely. Or it can lead to extramarital affairs of one partner who is still not come out of that. And you can imagine what happens, no? Then it is a chaos. And then people will say, कि Krishna consciousness ने मेरा जिंदगी बर्बाद कर दिया, मेरा पूरा family तोड़ दिया. So therefore, principle is one, and implementation of that principle is another thing. So therefore, inquiring about eternal religious principles and implementing them under guidance of senior Vaishnavas. Even it's a simple thing like giving up alcohol. I remember few years back, one of the devotees was struggling with this issue in the program. Okay, so then the first instruction we gave him is Pankaj Udas's instruction. थोड़ी थोड़ी पिया करो. Correct? Because पता था उससे होने वाला नहीं है. If we tell him कल से बंद, माँ कसम कल से आप छूओगे तो मैं आपका मुंह भी नहीं देखूंगा. Suppose we give such fanatic instruction, what will the poor fellow do? अरे उसको भी क्या है, वो अभी अभी आया है भाई. Give him some time. हम लोग ने भी छोड़ दिया था क्या? Next first day परमहंस हो गए हम लोग. We also took time, no? Then give people also time. People are people. Okay, appreciate their sincerity. Constantly check. If he says, प्रभु अभी पहला दिन ना पहला everyday एक होता ही था. अभी प्रभु हफ्ते में खाली 2. Congratulate him actually. Make him feel that yes, you are doing great. You know, because he is struggling with his anarthas. Similarly, मेरा भी okay, I might have given him alcohol, but मेरा भी 50 जगह में चल रहा है अभी वांदा. Correct. So therefore, then reminding constantly that I am also struggling will make us more tolerant to the struggle of other people. So we will not advise people from a condescending manner. No, you know what's a condescending manner? No? That I am an authority and you are lesser to me. Therefore, I am telling you have to do. No, that's not the way. It will not work like that in life. It just will not work. It will work only in a facilitative mode. That's all. Not in an instructing mode. It will not work. Because we ourselves are not like that. Accepting only what is necessary. So here, the reference from Naradiya Purana indicates that the devotee should accept only what is necessary for physical maintenance. That means, Rupa Goswami is cautioning us here, this is the next item of devotional service, that do not over accumulate and complicate your life. This is a constant reminder. No, I'm not looking at it. I'm just looking at it. He is winking at me.
That's a good point, Rupa. How do we draw a line?
Yeah.
Because Bhaktivedanta Swami was mentioning in the class, when devotee asked him, how much is too much?
Yeah, very good, yeah. How much is too much, someone asked.
Just stop where you are.
Just stop where you are. So we all know within our hearts whether we need that extra money which is coming in the house. We can tell anything to outside world. We can convince outside world. Outside world will also tell, nahi Prabhu, barabar hai. For relationship's sake, everybody will say, nahi Prabhu, barabar hai. Like that. But at the end of the day, we know whether we need that, whether whatever over-endeavoring we are doing is really for body and soul, or is it for putting that special wallpaper on our house, in the walls, or for building false ceiling in our house, or for having that branded cooking machine, cooking stove, gas stove. So we know that. Or for funding the granite, bathroom. We know that, na? Is it required to have granite top to keep body and soul together? Correct? So therefore, we need to question why I am doing whatever I am doing. The more we accumulate, the more there will be anxiety, the lesser will be our focus in Krishna consciousness. So, Keshav Prabhu was telling in the class the other day that devotees have to accept voluntary austerity. Which means what? Though we can afford something, we don't indulge in that. I know I can afford a suit of $5,000, but still I will buy of $500. Or if one better off, buy of $100. चल सकता है काम उससे मेरा, so live simply. Huh? DMart. DMart. Not values. Correct. Okay. So. Okay, we'll digress. Okay, we'll talk offline. These are all conversations which we have had. Okay. So yes, so if you can live simply and get away with it, then it is good. So there is no correct answer to this. Okay. For example, what should be the corporate attire? Which is what we were having a conversation the other day. Should we really wear a suit, or can we simply wear a simple shirt and pant and then go? Correct? So it depends. There is no right answer. It's not that if you are wearing a suit, you are an egoistic man, and if you are wearing a fatao shirt and going, then you are very humble. ऐसा भी नहीं है. Humility is within the heart. If by wearing a torn piece of cloth, I am very proud of my humility, then that is not humility. If by wearing suit, like Pundarik Vidyanidhi was, everyone knows, na? Chaitanya Charitamrita. What was he wearing? He was wearing silk cloth. He was sitting on a, what is that? Divan mein baitha the. And he was, and he was having pan, like a betel nut he was chewing like that. When Gadadhar Pandit came in front of him, and Gadadhar Pandit said, "Ye kya hai?" I was told he is advanced devotee. But the moment the verse was recited, "Aho bakiyam stanakala kutam," immediately then he jumped out from there. He started rolling. He tore that silk cloth. He went into Ashta Sattvika Bhava, which means externally he was looking very happy, but internally he was completely detached. He doesn't care, right? Better than the Brahmana who was coming in very simple clothes but trying to imitate Haridas Thakur in the past time, where the snake charmer was doing that. No? He saw Haridas Thakur lying down and rolling on the ground, so he also started rolling on the ground. Externally he was wearing very simple clothes, but he was trying to imitate Haridas Thakur. So the snake charmer started hitting him with sticks, and immediately he came out of his bhava. Whereas Haridas Thakur, even when he was beaten in 32 marketplaces, he had no external consciousness because he was completely in Smaran. So bhakti is internal, it is not external. But because bhakti is internal, we should not again go the other way and talk Yukta Vairagya. Saying that I will complicate my life, because at the end of the day bhakti is internal, so external I will go on increasing of my life. प्रभु तो क्या हुआ, ग्रेनाइट का फ्लोरिंग ही किया पूरा घर में, भक्ति तो अंदर है ना, दिल के अंदर. No, we should not justify that way also, because his mind is very teda. It will go here, there and try to justify all kinds of things. So the real answer will be within us only. All answers are within us, whatever we may tell outside. So then that introspection is required. So here it is written, accepting only what is necessary and not over complicating our lives. Like that. Srila Prabhupada ki